Salam alaikum, alaikum salam, Tada Madamba. Today we're doing a video about certain binary codes or Dikenga Bisimsus that that I love, that I've lived them, that they're my life experience, and I've learned through time from specific mentors. And there's a particular binary code which is Sambia Ye Kungenga. That says the man strokes the horse to ride it. In Spanish, this old mentor of mine told me one day, he said, dale espalda al buen comentario, porque el que acepta una halaga será dominado. El hombre le hace caricia al caballo para montarlo. What he was referring to is that a man that strokes the horse, or a man strokes the horse to ride it. And this mentor, he helped me out a lot. He was an elder within my life when I started working with a certain profession. You know, about schematics, electricity, all of that stuff. And he had a lot of knowledge. I would always praise him, thank him. And he used to tell me all the time, don't do that. You know, don't praise me like that. Don't look up to me or don't look down at me. Look at me for who I am. And he gave me that saying one time. El hombre le hace caricia al caballo para montarlo. And I guess he didn't want to see me with those eyes. And he was in his 70s and 80s. He was up there in age. And now he's in Cuba and Pemba. You know, he helped me out a lot during that time and profession that I was going through, that I was working. And he said that to me, and I have that within a specific binary code, which is Sambia Ye Kungenga. The man, or a man caresses a horse to ride it. And what does that refer to, right? That refers that not to let people give you good compliments or praise you for certain things, because it'll boost your ego and you'll shift your perspective on things. You'll lose touch with being humble at the end of the day, right? Which is very important, right? Another thing is, obviously, if that person's praising you, this is another way of seeing it. People who praise you sometimes or give you good compliments or certain aspects physically, right? If they're there or any of this, you know, they're trying to maybe take advantage of you the same way the man caresses the horse to ride it. Because if he truly loved that horse, he would let it roam free. Let it be a horse, right? Not use it for work or not use it for this or for that, or ride it for whatever reason. So, you know, it's speaking figuratively. And when the Mfumbe throws this out, depending on the situation, the circumstance, you will see it in specific ways, in positive, negative, in the advice that Mfumbe is giving out. Because obviously, if the Mfumbe throws that out and is speaking to me about getting mounted, he's saying, el hombre hace caricia al caballo para montarlo. The hombre is the Mfumbe saying, I'm going to give you my presence first and then I'll mount you. Or vice versa, right? If he's the horse, he's telling you, hey, if you want me to do this, me tienes que acariciarme. You see? In other words, you have to give me what I need. So it's different standpoints from those words or message that binary code carries, that we have to see it depending on the circumstance or the question. But that's one of my favorite ones because, you know, it's very true in life. I have another experience that I have had that can kind of refer to that. And it was when I was a boy. I asked my godfather this question. I asked him, I said, Padrino, do you look at people, when you meet people for the first time, do you see the good in them or the bad? And my godfather looks at me, he tells me, I look the bad, I see the bad in them. And you know, I'm a boy, I'm just growing through life, seeing things the way he sees. Because to me, he is my father. He gave me many lessons in life. And he says that to me, and I'm very optimistic. Always been very happy, always give the benefit of the doubt for others. And I told him that, I'm like, why do you see people like that, right? Why do you see the bad in people when you first meet them? And he smiled at me and he said, when you grow older, you're going to understand. And now that I've lived just a little more, a couple years more, right? I understand what he means. Now that I'm in a different position within my life and I live more, I see what he means, right? Because obviously, in this realm or in this world, in life, yes, there's good people, bad people, and all of that, but we have to be honest and be real with one another. Out there, right, there's lions, tigers, and bears. And you have family, you have children, and you have to always have your guard up. So that's why my godfather, pretty sure he answered that question like that. Because people can harm you, or take advantage of you, or screw you over really bad. So always have the guard up. And it's kind of like to that. El hombre le hace caricia al caballo para montarlo. Somebody might bring the horse an apple, but it's, to throw the rope on him and get him, to bring the bait to him and get him. So you have to, all these things, all these life lessons, we have to understand that, and see it in different ways, because all they're patterns, different patterns of life that we all go through, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then Mfumba communicates through that language, with these physical objects. If he speaks to you, you have that means to hear him, or to get that heavy intuition, or just to know. All right, I'm just gonna say that you will just know. You'll just know what he's telling you. Then obviously it'll give details. We won't stay so much general within those objects. But all divination systems, right? Or rather, if it's bones, shells, even tarot cards to an extent, any system will have that, right? You'll put your life experience in there, because that's what we're going through. These pieces will represent things to us, the priest, and a spirit will manipulate them or put them in certain positions for you to interpret. Ifa and La Ocha, they work a little bit more rigid because they have a tradition, right? Their system's a little bit more rigid, but very precise also. And that binary code is one of my favorites. Sambia Ye con Genga. And I have multiple other ones that I have life experience in there, like Modali and Modali. I know it says that our decisions deliberately create our reality. I know I have that there, which obviously is true, right? Your decisions deliberately create your reality. But I have a life experience also that says, that specifically there, caminante no hay camino, se hace camino al andar. Specifically in that binary code. And where do I get that from? I had the privilege to meet my godfather's father. Not his godfather, but his father. And spend time with him and his mother and all of that in that family. And one day I'm over at his house, and he looks at me, he starts to speak to me about music, about our generation don't know music or any of that. And he told me, you want to hear good music? And I was like, yes, for sure. And he takes me and he puts on a song called Caminante No Hay Camino by Sereta. I don't remember the name. Sereta, Joan Sereta, or Manuel Sereta, something like that. And he plays this song because we're having a conversation about life. He asked me what I wanted to do with my life. And mind you, right, my godfather's father, he's up in life. He's a grandfather already. He's lived a lot. And he tells me, and we have that conversation, and we switch it to that. And we end up playing the music. And he plays that song, and he tells me to listen to it. And as I'm listening to the song, Caminante no hay camino, se hace camino al andar, and all the meaning that it has, he looks at me and he smiles. And he tells me, Caminante, no hay camino, se hace camino al andar, which refers to traveler or ongoer or walker. But I'm gonna say traveler. In life, there's no path. For traveler, there's no path. You make the path as you go along. And it was referring to the conversation, right? The plans that I seen, the way I seen life at that particular stage of my life. And he was telling me, just live life. You'll make the path as you go along. Don't stress out about these things or this or that. And I have that experience within Motali and Motali, right? Where your decisions deliberately create your reality, but at the same time, you know, you're a traveler on a specific path that is not made, and you'll make the path as you go along. But that's from a certain perspective. Within a consultation, I'll bring that conversation depending on the circumstance, on what the Mfumbe is saying. If they come to a crossroads. Obviously, if they haven't come to a crossroads, it's looked at differently because they have two decisions. You have to think about that. Your decisions deliberately create your reality, but imagine you're in a standpoint where you're in a lose-lose situation, which I'm pretty sure many of us are in those situations, right? Whether if we can, we need new shoes, or we need clothes for our job, or we need new tires for our cars or whatever, but we need groceries for our children. You're in a lose-lose situation. If you're underage, or if you're in a matrimony, and your wife and your husband beats on you, but that's the father of your kids, and you have no means of getting out because you have no profession. You always taking care of those children. You're in a lose-lose situation. If you stay, you get beaten on. If you leave, now you're homeless when your children are out there. See, those lose-lose situations. So that's on a different standpoint. That your decisions deliberately create your reality. It all depends the structure of the divination system. But Motali and Motali, I have many things, many experiences within these binary codes that the Mfumbe will give out, right? To speak to us about what it sees in this person's life. Another binary code that is personal, that is not in the scrolls of time, that's something that my Centea Mangasaya, at one point in my life, it told me. Literally heard the voice, right? It told me. And it's in the binary. I have this within this binary code, right? It's Kitoko Yamaladi. Even the scrolls of time is going to say there, you can either kill yourself or save yourself. But I have there this, El que coge termina caminando. The one who is running ends up walking. The one who's always running will end up walking at the end. So it's referring to patience. The same way, right? If you're at a crossroads in your life and you have to make a decision, but you can either kill yourself or save yourself. It's that serious. So we're just telling you, be patient. Hey, take your time to make this decision, because you can either cause harm to yourself or hinder yourself or others around you, or you can save yourself. So you're messing with a double blade sword with specific situations in life, or patterns that we can live through. But one that is not there, that is something personal within me, my Nkisi, is that, you know, the one who's always running ends up walking, and it's referring to patient. Be patient. And even though patience is in many other binary codes looked at in different ways, you know, my Mfumba might cast that out for me. During specific scenarios or rituals, making certain decisions. I don't want to go too much in depth how it told me that, you know, that I had to make. And they say, hey, just slow down. But these binary codes, that's what they are. They're just patterns of life that the ancestors, right, or the Mfumbe has to be, or the spirit, right, has the means to communicate through those physical objects. It's a more well-defined system. And at the end of the day, do you need that? Yes and no, right? Yes and no. The better system you have, the more easier it's gonna be to divine. But what I love about it is the knowledge, the life experience that I don't have, the perspective of seeing things. Imagine you're in a situation in your life and you decide to go into it and so go and explain the situation. It's worth that amount, right? Not nothing for nothing silly. And you're seeing things in a specific way, and it gives you a different advice. Say, look at it this way. And you're like, oh man. And that's what starts to make the relationship with that Nkisi, or Prenda Fundamento in Ganga, how many people will call it, but it's Nkisi. Nkisi and the Mfumba, and their relationship starts to grow because they're living right alongside with you. You know, battling all the obstacles. You know, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's like always having somebody to speak to that has tremendous amounts of knowledge. Obviously it does, because they have experience on life when they were alive, and the biogenetic rope, but Gahu, right? The linaje, or in Singa Dikana, the biogenetic rope that is connected to your godfathers in Kisi, and your godfathers in Kisi, all so on to the beginning of the lineage. And all that information is available to you, advice about life. And it's beautiful. But the main thing I want to emphasize within these patterns is the standpoint. It's the beginning of the conversation, right? The reason why you pick them up, the angle that you're going to look at things at. That's the most thing, because that's where he's going to speak to you. And then obviously the details that it's going to tell you is the Mfumba, your mediumship is going to have to come in, or your psychic abilities are going to have to come in at the end. And I'm also going to add this on, right? I said this in the last video, generalized speaking and detail speaking. Most priests, we speak generalized, right? When you go get all these readings from priests here, there, or from whatever tradition or any of that, you'll see that most of the time they give generalized things. They never give hard down details, which is to an extent, sometimes some of them do. That means that they're more credible, right? They have more value, because you'll be like, yeah, there's no way this guy could ever know that. You know, the name of my dead deceased mother, that he says it's here, and now he knows. Right? He tells me how she looked like and stuff like that. You know, but the only way you can get that, the Chamalongos don't carry the names or any of these people. That's the mediumship, the psychic ability, the connection with the Mfumbe. Now what happened, the situations of this and that, the Chamalongos point you there, or give you the picture or the message. Now the key details is always going to be the relationship with the Mfumbe. You know, so I highly recommend you guys, for the ones who have the book, to, you know, go through the different binary codes and live them, see them in your life, and apply them in different aspects. And you'll start to see. So once you cast, or you start to build that relationship with your Nkisi, you'll get to see how accurate things start to become. And you're like, oh man, you know, you'll be on a whole other level. But I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys with Nsinga Dikana Ninga Katu Bukako. Always uphold our tradition by making the right decisions for our tradition. Like, share, subscribe. If you guys have any questions or any comments or any concerns or any of that, please leave it down in the comments. Feel free, right? Feel free. Thank you guys for your time. Salam alaikum, alaikum salam.